Okay, now we're going to chart three curves. This let's call number 5, exercise number 5. For this one, we're going to draw y of x equals cosine of x. Y of x equals cosine of 4x. We are dealing about the period, and y of x equals to cosine now x divided by 4. Let's see what happens with those three ones. The first one, it's easy. I'm just going to write the right side. The left side, the process is the same. This, okay, this is x, this is y, and now let's put, going to be something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. We know the cosine. Oh, first thing, what is the cosine of 0? Okay, cosine of 0, remember, to be 0 we must be precisely at 90 degrees. It is this, right? Let's just recall. If we just have in here, I always like to draw these, okay? It's much more comfortable to work with. This is the cosine and this is the sine. So if you are dealing about the cosine, whatever it is in this side in here, it is going to be positive. Whatever is on this side in here, it is going to be negative. And what is the cosine of 9 degrees? Okay, at 9 degrees it is just like in here. The cosine of 9 degrees, it is just 0. Okay, and also 270 degrees, it is going to be 0. This is 9 degrees, this is 270 degrees. Okay, so this is 270 degrees and this is 90 degrees. So this is 0 and this is also 0. Let's put this one in our chart. What is 9 degrees? It is this one. Let's call it pi over 2. This is going to be 0. So this is going to be a place where our chart is going to pass. Another way, it is going to be 3 pi over 2. So this would be pi and this 3 pi over 2, and this would be just 2 pi. Well, we have something like this. This would be the chart. This is, of course, 1 is the unity, okay, and this 1, it means it is the radius of this circumference. Remember, this is a trigonometric circumference, and for this trigonometric circumference the radius is 1. That is why we have a 1 in here. And something important that we also have to acknowledge, it is this: from peak to peak, this is the period, and the period, it is just 2 pi. That's it for our cosine. This is the basic structure of the cosine. Now, what is going on with this? Remember, this is going to relate to the period. How? Because it's multiplied by 4, the period it is going to be divided by 4. That's it. What are we going to do? We're going to take this curve and we're going to push it a little bit like this. Okay? Just take the curve and just curve it, not curve it, just shrink a little bit. How much? 4 times. Initially our period it is 2 pi. In the end our period it is going to be a fourth of that, meaning it will have to be pi over 2. Okay, this distance is going to be pi over 2. If it's not, then we did something wrong. Again, let's make here, and remember that we divide by 4 in here. Well, so everything on the x-axis it is going to be divided by 4. Let's put the same, I'm going to put the same marks in here. Of course the scale is not the same, because if I have to draw in scale, this is going to be just like this, and this is going to be 4 times as much. There is no sense about making all the scales the same. Okay, I'm just going to make like this always. Okay, all the charts are going to be like this. Like these what? Well, they are going to have the same space in here, but for each chart the space represents something different. Okay, now remembering here what I told you, let's start from the basics. This is pi over 2. Whatever we put in here, this is going to be divided by 4. Okay, from here to here, the x-axis will be divided by 4. This is what it means. So if we had pi over 2, in here is going to be pi over 2 divided by 4, which means this is going to be pi over 8. Here it used to be pi, now it is going to be, I'm going to do this, pi divided by 4, right? Sorry. So continuing, this is going to be pi divided by 4. We are just going to take this and divide by 4. Again, if this were 3 pi over 2, 3 pi over 2, we are going to divide 2 by 4. Now this is going to be 3 pi over 8. Okay, this new one. And if this was 2 pi, now is going to be 2 pi divided by 4, which is the same as just pi over 2. Whatever is in here, I'm just dividing by 4 just to account for this 4 in here. And now let's just, it's going to be the same. Okay, the shape. And this is our chart. And now realize that our period it is now pi over 2. Why pi over 2? Remember, it is the fourth of this one. I'm just doing this. Okay. Again, what about the amplitude? It is the same. It is still 1 minus 1. Why? Because we are not changing the amplitude. To change the amplitude, we would need to change this guy in here. But it is 1, right? Okay. The same goes in here. We're not changing the amplitude. What is going to happen here? Now our period because it's divided by 4, we will multiply by 4. So to go, I'm not going to do it because I would have to take an arrow from here to here. I'm not going to do it, okay? But to go to this part, we're just taking this chart and multiply by 4 whatever it is on the x axis. Why the x axis? Because that's where we are making the change on the x. Look, it can't be on the y, okay? This is on the x. That's where we are changing, okay? And why the amplitude change like this? Because this number here we can just go and put over here. That's why. Well, let's just make the numbers. We had pi over 2. Now it is going to be pi over 2 multiply by 4, right? And that yields to just 2 pi. Again, we had pi in here. Now it is going to be pi, right? Now it is going to be 4 times 4 pi. Can you see? 2 pi, 4 pi, this is going to be 6 pi, okay? Let's just check. Well, it used to be 3 pi over 2, right? We have to multiply by 4, always by 4. If it's not 6 pi, then something's wrong, okay? Because those spaces in here, they are always the same. And let's see. The reason I'm saying all this is because this is what you have to be thinking while you are solving the exercise. Let's see. This 4 cancels with this 2. We have a 2 in here. 2 times 3, 6 pi. And again, if we used to have 2 pi in here, we are going to have 2 pi times 4, which means 8 pi. Okay, 2, 4, 6, 8. Makes sense. And now, let's just chart everything. It just goes, oh, those are the zeros, okay? And they are still the zeros. Why? Because we are not changing anything regarding the phase. Okay? Remember, the phase would be x plus something or x minus something. We're not dealing about phase shift in here. So those roots are going to continue fixed in the same place. Like this, like this, like this. And again, if we just acknowledge this period, this period is going to be 8 pi. Now, something I always ask to my students: does it make sense? Always ask this. We start from the pure function cosine with a period of 2 pi. This should be 4 times bigger. From 2, this is 8. It makes sense. Always, everything must make sense, okay? The student must take some time to reflect over the answer and see if that answer makes sense or not. This is the exercise. this is a basic function, the primary function, if I could say like this. If we multiply by 4, it means that the chart is going to be shrink like this, divide by 4. If we divide by 4, we are going to make it bigger like this. Okay, let's always put everything. This is 1, this is minus 1, and everything is done. Okay, this is the answer.